At a meeting with Delta State Governor, President Tinubu says perpetrators of recent killing of officers and soldiers in Delta State must face the law.
Senate amends 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Act, extends implementation to June 2024.
No extension of deadline for submission of candidates for off-cycle election, INEC tells political parties.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, the conversation is on the National Spokespersons Summit.
A spokesperson is usually the face of a brand, an institution, a government, or a representative of a high-ranking individual. This individual is expected to exhibit competence in human relations and should communicate useful information in an ethical manner on his or her principle to the public. Some notable global spokespersons include celebrities, public relations officers, media assistants and advisors, and so on.
Indeed, the job of a knowledgeable, quote, knowledgeable spokesperson has often been described as physically demanding and mentally engaging because it requires round-the-clock updates on information on the principal or organization represented and presented in the best way possible to the public.
Yeah, Victor, and that's why observers insist that within this intense work schedule, the spokesperson should be more proactive than reactive to ensure credibility and the right public perception of the principal or organization.
Well, let's bring it closer home. Nigeria's democratic experience has been largely shaped by utterances of several influential spokespersons of key government persons in the country. Now, some have enhanced the process, while others have fueled the wrong reactions, leading to chaos and national unrest.
Yeah, that's true, and this brings to mind the criteria for picking a spokesperson, which is most often sadly influenced by the initial demeanor of some of such persons who are either eloquent or argumentative. Professionals in the field are expressing concerns over the lack of recourse to recommendations by the National Institute of Public Relations, NRPR, in the selection of these professionals. Victor?
I guess it shows that eloquence does not necessarily mean that you have the tools to be a good spokesperson.
You can be an eloquent person and just misjudge.
Being a very good argumentator confer that capability.
That's not a criteria.
Well, in a few days, the Institute is holding an Abuja summit to hopefully, change these narratives for spokespersons across the country. Now, this summit is our main focus on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you. I am Victor Azu.
And I am Ademola Adeoye. Thanks for joining us. We are reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. Chukwudi Okoli Ugbaja will join us for our usual newspaper review. But we must first get the news highlights with Dennis Adegunloye. Good morning, Dennis. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Good morning, Ademola and Victor. Good morning, Nigeria. Here is the morning news. President Bola Tinubu has assured of commitment to peace while demanding that those who perpetrated the recent killing of soldiers on a peacekeeping mission in Delta State must face the law. The Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborevwori, revealed this after briefing the president over the incidents.
What is happening now is something that we did not bargain for. But we want to assure everybody that there will be no more attack on the villages. If there's anyone that has happened in the past, we've all agreed. All the security agencies are putting us together. We're on the same page to fish out the real culprit.
Meanwhile, the Senate has strongly condemned the killing of 17 soldiers ambushed last week on a peace mission in Okwama community in Ugeli South local government area of Delta State.
What happened in Delta was not an accident. It was a designed and well-orchestrated effort to kill our military men.
And the House of Representatives is also seeking investigation into the circumstances of the murdered soldiers to unmask the perpetrators.
And I appeal to our military in the face of this huge provocation to please observe some international protocol and human and stop the current burning going on in the community.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has assured Nigerians that relevant security agencies are at work to unravel and bring to justice the killers of military personnel in Okwama community in Delta State.
Yes, asked that the community cooperate with the armed forces so that we can fish out those who are the perpetrators of this act. And he has also asked and enjoined members of the armed forces to also limit themselves to only those who are involved in this. Of course, all those involved will not go unpunished.
The Senate has amended the 2024 Supplementary Appropriation Act. The lawmakers extended the implementation period from 31st March 2024 to 30th of June 2024. And Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has urged political parties fielding candidates in off-season governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states to keep to the deadline for submission of candidates, as the Commission will not grant requests for extension of dates.
And cost of producing certified true copies of documents can be used more productively in other electoral activities by both political parties and the Commission. We must find a solution to this situation.
Members of the Federal Executive Council are reassuring President Bola Tinubu of support and commitment to his success in leading Nigeria to greater prosperity. This was at a special iftar breaking of the Ramadan fast with members of the council, service chiefs and some selected heads of agencies at the State House.
And the nation is on a path to sustain growth. Some nations have gone through war spaces in the annals of their history than us. The president means well for the nation. He has a good heart for the nation, and we have a moral imperative to support him.
Well,
You're welcome back. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. It is time for newspaper review. Stay with us.
Right, welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria, and Chukwudi Ubaja is well seated, looking ready and trim.
I am always ready, always ready.
Boy Scouts.
Victor, how are you doing?
I'm well.
Demo.
I'm well.
Good morning.
There seems to be, it's like the Hamilton has returned. Did you feel anything like that?
No, the Harmattan, it depends on what aspect of the Harmattan you're talking about.
The weather is a bit
the whiff,
hazy.
The whiff of cold.
The haziness of
the whiff of cold, I said 3 days ago, would not last more than 3 days. That lasted just some 24, 26 hours. What is there is the haziness. But if you look carefully, it's more of the dew almost developing into a fog. That's it.
But that's unusual at this time of the year, actually.
Well, maybe he's trying to make way for the raining to come.
I pray. I think we're all anticipating
the raining season.
All right, let's get to it, and we'll begin with the leadership papers here. And just above the nameplate, troops rescue 32 kidnapped victims in Kaduna, Katsina. Something to cheer. And then Adora Umoji, appointed Zenith Bank GMD CEO, page 21. That should delight the women folk. And under the masthead, FARC allocation increased by 23.56% in 1 year. That's according to NTA. As FG states, LGs shared 10.143 trillion naira in 2023. That story can be found on page 2. And then impeachment. Edo Assembly tightens news on Shaibu. That's on page 7 if you want to know about that. And then the main story here is killing of 17 soldiers. Panic in Bayelsa as troops launch manhunt for killers. That story can be found on page 4. And it has 4 riders. Diri, Silva, trade words over killings. There will be no further attacks, Delta governor. Killers may be mercenaries, says Senate. And Delta lawmakers beg military. That story is on page 4 again. And then by the side you have peace will return to Southeast once I am released. That's according to Nnamdi Kanu, page 18. CNG, FG targets 70% fuel cost reduction. That's on page 20. Reps move to grant widows 5 months leave. That's on page 7. That's an interesting one. Benga Alade, 3 orders confirmed as AMCON MD executive directors. That's on page 19. And then we move over to the New Telegraph. The major story here says, Okwama, 17 officers, soldiers, killers, maybe mercenaries, says Akpabio. Senate probes killing, rejects minute silence for civilian casualties for now. Then Tinubu, Oborewori hold closed door meeting. Killing an assault on security stability of Niger Delta. That's according to Lawan. And that story can be found on pages 3 and 5. And just above that story, you have Tinubu 6 reps approval for judicial officers' new salaries. With the rider PSC, Force Headquarters relationship now stable. That's according to the chairman of the PSC, Arase. The story is on pages 2 and 6. Federal states LGs shared 10.143 trillion naira in 2023. That's according to NTA, which is we read earlier. Again, court refuses Kanu bail in terrorism charges. With the rider, IPOB leader distances self from violence in Southeast. That's on page 4. A number of other stories. Well, Ways and Means, Senate insists on total loan recovery. Frowns at approvals by former CBN governor. NAS extends 2023 budget from March 31, 2024 to June 30. Engages FG on solution to food crisis. Passes 446 billion naira FIRS 2024 budget. Constitution review. Reps unveil consultants. Reaffirms 2025 completion date. That story is on 4 and 6, pages 4 and 6. Pass bill to give widows 5 months leave. Summon health minister. Over $300 million mosquito net funds. I think we'll leave it there.
Okay. I have the Nigerian Pilot newspaper with me. I will start below the nameplate. Governor Duri condemns Silva statement on slain soldiers. That story can be found on page 9. Edo Assembly directs CJ to set up 7-man panel to investigate deputy governor. That story can be found on page 7. And the main headline is Ministers Panic, as Tinubu is said to have commenced plans to reshuffle cabinet ahead of May 29. Set to flag off 3-step approach to assess ministers, heads of MDAs. He would launch platform to enable Nigerians assess performance of ministers. The president had asked them to perform or be sacked while swearing them in. That main story can be found on page 4. Okwama killings, situation under control. Governor Oborevwori tells Tinubu. That's the story can be found on page 5. Army rescues women, children after 46 days in Katsina terrorist den. Senate probes killing of military personnel in Delta State. Nnamdi Kanu speaks out, says, count me out of violence in Southeast. Constitutional amendment not solutions to Nigeria's problem. And CBN slashes custom FX duty rate. I think we'll stop there. Chooks.
Quite a lot to talk about. Really.
Yes, quite a lot.
But before then,
yes, please.
I just want some clarifications on the true spelling of the governor of Delta State. You know, some will spell it O-B-V, O-B-O-R-O-V, O-W-O-R-I.
I know it's quite a lot for non-initiates.
Yes. So what?
O-B-O, Oborevwori. The VW is pronounced, you know.
Okay. So
the
W is silent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
O-B-O-R-E. The V is what seems silent.
O-B-O-R-E. But most
in fact, here,
yes,
it is O-B-O-R-V-W. In fact, there's no O, there's no E.
And here, instead of E, they put O.
That's an E.
Aha. So I think, and I've seen this in many publications.
Demola knows
there
that.
should be a clarification on that.
Demola knows that very soon you guys will kick me out respectfully.
Okay.
Yet it's taking my time on nomenclatural confusion.
Yes. But
actually, the VB, I read linguistics, so I can talk about this.
Okay.
The VB is a problem for people who do not know the Delta access. VW. You know, when a man says you are umeme, you don't want to know, you know, okay, VB is not even there. But the point is, the VB is a problem for people who are not from that access. But in pronouncing it, you just glide over it.
The W.
When the natives call it, it's not this complicated affair you hear on the lips of. It's not every letter that gets pronounced in some of the African names. Benue names are a very good example.
Even the spelling.
Yes. But it's a good thing you're pointing it out.
The spelling.
I just talked to one of our goodie oldies in broadcasting. And I remember their time when it mattered how you pronounced a man's name. Here in Nigeria, here in Africa, we are so good at Mikhail Gorbachev. But to pronounce native names, we fail woefully. That's not how to go. Broadcasting is a tidy affair. So I like the attention you're giving to that. Thank you. Soldiers killing. No one left in community, says governor. That is to be expected. I told you how we ran into the bush when Mopo 30 came to question the alleged killing of 2 policemen when I was in Onwea way back in my Delta Broadcasting Service times. Alaja, you know. So it is to be expected. When you take down 17 soldiers, you don't wait for the elephant to come around to say, why did the antelope kick, you know, disrespectfully. But the good thing is that there's a story here. Delta killings, 3 suspects nabbed, moved to army headquarters in Asaba. Moved to army headquarters in Asaba. Some people are giving the impression that they are smashing everything, you know, in their way. That is a misrepresentation. There could be a tendency for expressing rage the way it should not. But the rules of engagement, even when they're dealing with a CV situation, is very important. That's what we have been appealing to our soldiers to do, so that you don't, at the end of the day, engage overreaction. And I'm sure that so far, they seem to have reined that in. Governor Deary is condemning Silva's comments on this is something we should avoid. What I advise, what I suggest when we meet a situation like this is the way you sheathe the sword, also sheathe the tongue. Be careful what you say in this kind of situation. Sometimes it's not the action that happens that causes problem, but the reaction to the action. So we're doing well so far about it. Quickly, Nnamdi Kanu, we hardly talk about him. In the Nigerian press entirely, we seem to remember him only when there's a court appearance and all that. And he's saying here that if he's released,
there'll be peace in
peace will come. I am happy he's now talking like this. You know, the Nnamdi Kanu matter, it's become a political matter, really. Somebody said, why would he behave as if he's waging war on everybody, including the elders of the Southeast? How does he think he will succeed? So, if he's beginning to talk like this, let us not shun dialogue in resolving our problems. He's a young man. We need his productive, energy, in making this country great. But he has to do that within the ambit of the law, and all that. So I am happy he's talking like this. It means that one day we can all be on the same page and we move forward.
And on the same table.
That's the way I look at it. Bravo to the Nigerian woman. Adora Umoji is new Zenith GMD. That's a good one. Claire would have...
I think that's the first.
You will pay for that, I think so.
Claire, no, that's not an advert. When the news outweighs the commercial interest, the journalist must make that point. I'm making a point for the Nigerian woman. And Claire would have...
But she's not the first person to be...
for Zenith, I think is the first.
At least we have the first bank. We have other banks
Zenith
as well.
Let's not engage in the LTP aspect of it. You are the one. But I am really happy for the Nigerian woman. I keep on saying that women and children are underreported in Nigeria.
And another thing that we should talk about, women, reps move to grant widows 5 months leave.
When you mention widows, and I cast them in some African strange beliefs, I wince with pain. I am happy something is being suggested for widows and all that, because what the Nigerian widow goes through in some cultures, you don't want to think about it. When the man dies, all those relatives who were shouting the glories of madam and all that become something else. So if I hear anything that is thrown by the way or in the way of the widow, I'm always a very happy person.
The ministers panic.
The ministers what?
Ministers panic. Tinubu is set to commence plans to reshuffle cabinet.
Fine. Ashiwaji knows when to do certain things. He's the one in the sun.
But this looks a bit unclear at the moment, I'm sure.
But I would say let's study it a bit so that there's some stability.
You know that when we call you once, twice, 3 times, we are...
I think.
In addressing rumors and setting the record straight, spokespersons in Nigeria play a critical role in today's digital age where misinformation spreads quickly. It is important for spokespersons to be proactive in representing an individual, organization, or government agency to the media and the public, where their primary responsibility is to communicate key messages and information on behalf of their employer or client in a clear, concise, and professional manner. Important aspects in a spokesperson's job is the ability to articulate complex issues in a way that the public can understand. They also need to cultivate positive relationships with the media and journalists while effectively managing their organization's reputation. During times of crisis or controversy, a spokesperson plays a crucial role in managing and mitigating the impact on their employer's reputation. This involves providing timely and accurate information, addressing public concerns, and serving as a calming and reassuring voice. The job of a spokesperson in Nigeria can be demanding, requiring an individual to stay updated on current events, navigate complex media landscapes, and effectively present their employer in various public forums. It is a position that demands high levels of professionalism, integrity, and the ability to think on one's feet. Additionally, maintaining transparency, ethical communication, and building trust with the public are crucial elements of the role. The National Spokesperson Summit is poised to be a momentous and pivotal event in the Nigerian communication landscape, set to take place in Abuja, the heart of Nigeria, in March 2024. This summit will bring together spokespersons from diverse sectors, including government agencies, corporate entities, non-governmental organizations, and media establishments. The primary goal of the National Spokesperson Summit is to foster collaboration, knowledge sharing, and best practice exchange among individuals entrusted with representing their respective organizations to the public and media. As the summit approaches, guests on Good Morning Nigeria will discuss its quest to reinvent the position of spokespersons in the country, to discourage the spread of violent communication in an atmosphere of combustible tendencies.
Thanks, Ibrahim, for that background report. And joining us to discuss the National Spokesperson Summit in the studio right now is Dr. Ike Niliaku, the President, Nigeria Institute of Public Relations, NIPR. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Dr.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to be here again.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We have also been joined here in the studio by Dr. Sule Yao Sule, Chairman, National Planning Committee of the Summit. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And we also welcome our own Moji Makonjola, who is Chairman, Publicity Committee. Welcome home.
Thank you. Yes. Glad to be home.
All right. So let's start with the President. Let's kickstart our conversation this morning with Dr. Ike Niliaku. Now, when we say a spokesperson, who actually is a spokesperson? Is it somebody that is very eloquent or proficient, or you just pick anybody that you just see on the road? Who exactly is a spokesperson?
That last part is the problem.
Is the problem.
Picking anybody on the road. Speaking well is only a fraction of what is required. Being articulate is again a fraction. But you see, when we take the work of a spokesperson from the angle of reputation builder, perception manager, then you begin to understand the weight of responsibility of a spokesperson. And that's why we emphasize that the right person should do that job. Because when it's in the hand of a wrong person, naturally, the person may be articulate, but he doesn't know what to say at what point. When we talk of communication, and then we talk of the field of strategic communication, it's an entirely different thing. Because the strategic communicator has the information, all right, but he has to determine when to deploy that information, how to deploy that information, where to deploy that information. He looks at the mood of his audience. Then he looks at all this, and then he brings the right message that fits into that particular audience. That's what it means to be a professional spokesperson. Because the primary responsibility is to hold and carry the image. I would rather say the reputation. Because reputation capital is the biggest asset anybody could have. Okay. And that's why we are now saying...
Reputation capital.
Yes.
What's reputation capital?
Reputation capital is the quantum of who you are. Okay. When they put you on the table, what is your measure? What value do you carry? Are you just a non-entity just going about and talking because you have, or you have a company or a corporate organization that you represent, and then they are not interested on what is said about them? Let me tell you this. Serious-minded organizations, serious-minded investors, serious-minded governments across the world will only deal with you based on your reputation capital. And there are three major things that influence your reputation capital. The way you are perceived by the public. Number two, the issues of your legal standing. Can they trust you? If it's in the case of a nation, can they trust you on matters of law and order? Number three, are you somebody who is afraid of shame? Because if you don't have shame, that means you can do anything. But if you are a person of shame, before you say a word, you measure it carefully. But today what we have is that we have spokespersons who have become purveyors of violent communication. When they open their mouth, people are hiding under the table. You don't know the next bullet that is coming. We are looking for those who understand the mood of the nation today and who are willing to give us non-violent communication. Communication that is measured. Communication that makes sense. Communication that is logical. Communication that will bring development. Not the one that will destroy development. Nations have gone to war because of poor or inefficient communication. Organizations have gone under because they were not properly communicated. Well, since I have others in the studio, let me stop here.
Wow, you are really a communicator. No doubt about that.
We won't let you go so easily because I'm trying to put together bits and pieces from your initial comments as to what makes a spokesperson. Now, I am also going to think that spokesperson for a government institution, for government, and for private individuals or for private entities should operate differently, because in pulling all of this together, when you look at the make of both sides, you see that their aims and aspirations, the goals, objectives are different, and the communication should be different. I'm not sure if I'm right.
No, you're right. That's why I said the strategic communicator. Okay, you want to come in?
Yes. Okay, okay. Right.
I think Mr. President is trying to put it in this perspective that private sector and public sector, they have different goal. So also their communication. So because in public sector, this is public service oriented issues, while in private sector is profit oriented issues. But that does not take away all the qualities and requirements of a spokesperson. Agreed, the mode operandi of the two sectors differ, but the goal and the services offered by the spokesperson, certainly they go the same.
Okay.
You understand? As long as you accept the job of a spokesperson, you automatically become a salesman. Someone who is like a front office manager who tests the menu and confirm to customers that this menu is good for you to consume. You must wholeheartedly, totally believe in the cause you are on. If you don't believe in either your principal or the company you work for, you have no business to be a spokesperson. You must be optimistic. You must be passionate for you to be a good spokesperson. Because you subsume yourself. Once you accept this job as a spokesperson, you subsume yourself and become part of the product. If you have any doubt about it, then certainly you ought not to be there, because you are seen as the person that will sell the individual or the organization. And if you have any doubt in the job you are doing, then it means there is a minus.
Does this job also entail managing the individual, your principal? Because sometimes you may have a principal who is always too eager to talk, and before you know he has put you in trouble, you have to do damage control. Does it entail managing the individual? Because it's not all about talk.
Of course, it's like product as well. You have good products and you have bad products, but you have all the technicalities to manage the two as a professional. You understand? Yes, there are some principles that are difficult to handle, but with your skills as a spokesperson, you can navigate your way. You can be able to do that effectively.
Okay.
Let me chip in here.
Yes.
You know, if you use the word reputation, it makes a lot of things easier. I'm glad Dr. Sule has spoken from the point of somebody who has been on that, because he's been a spokesperson to governors, ministers, senators. He has managed them. And we used to call him fire eater because it requires that. But you see, the bottom line is reputation. Whether you are speaking for the individual, you are managing his reputation. Whether you are speaking for a government agency, you are managing his reputation. Whether you are speaking for a corporate organization, a company, a business, it is the same thing, managing their reputation in a manner that the person who is dealing with them will be comfortable to deal with them. I have worked with very difficult principals. But you see, because my primary assignment at that time was I have a reputation to build of my principal. Now, look at this. If my own reputation goes down, then I'm not in a position to build the reputation of somebody else. That's why it is key. Because once the reputation of the spokesperson is in red, like a bank account, there is a problem. So it is very, very, that's why reputation capital, both for the spokesperson, both for the principal, both for the organization, both for government in this case, whatever it is. The key is perception management. How do people perceive this organization, this person, and so on? Because they say perception is reality. And then
perception is reality. Dr. Niliako, thank you so much for your contribution. Now, I know that you are itching, Mojima Konjuale, my big sister. Okay, now let me ask. I know you've been itching to contribute also, but let me ask you: a spokesperson, is it somebody that is born? Can somebody be a born spokesperson, or you get to learn? And before you still want to add to the contribution what we have been talking about, but who actually is a spokesperson?
Right, thank you. I think both my president and chairman of the National Spokesperson Summit have delved into some of these issues of, the perception of who a spokesperson should be. For me, I go beyond, a little bit beyond what they've said. It's a total package. Okay. And if you are not knowledgeable about it, President has emphasized reputation capital. I also want to say knowledge reputation. If you are not familiar with what you're doing, look, the outcome is failure. And a lot of us are not knowledgeable. A lot of us don't even know what we're supposed to do. A lot of us don't even understand why is this where it is. You're working, for example, with a government official. That confine of that government official where you're working should be on your fingertips all the time. You should speak from I always emphasize, write and speak from the point of knowledge, because it brings the credibility that is needed. A PR person, sets, whether he or she accepts, sets some measure of reputation, sets a measure of what is doable in the confine in which you are PR in. You cannot come to speak. Take, for example, there's a press conference, and so we see it on international media. The spokesperson takes charge because he knows what question he has perceived, what questions you would ask. That is the strength of PR aid. It's not just about speaking. It's the fact that he's knowledgeable. It's the fact that he knows his onions. Who's the media? Let's look at it from the media perspective, which is just one of the strategies of PR aid. It's not just because people see PR as, oh, it's media thing. It's beyond that. It's a total package. Take, for example, your principal is going to visit an institution, the mood of the nation, about the soldiers, for example. I don't expect my principal to be well geared, he's not showing the mood. I dare to say an American president goes to visit victims. He's rolled his sleeves up. But I won't, my principal is going and he or she is dressed as if it's Christmas or Salah. The wrong perception has been created. You would hear, what is Oga going to do wearing this? What has happened? But a lot of times we leave one and refuse to take the other. PRE is a total package. And who is the eye, who is the ear, who do people see first? Is the spokesperson. A knowledgeable spokesperson gives some measure of respect, in fact a huge sense of respect to the principal. Oh, she knows her onions. Oh, okay, is that what she's speaking about? Oh, people, he or she becomes an attention arrester. But if you don't know, you cannot give what you do not know.
But you don't have.
And what you don't have. And that's why I get excited when, and I say to this administration of NIPR that a new dawn has come, where you must be seen as a professional and respected. Oftentimes we don't carry the respect that is, that should come naturally to us as practitioners, because the spokesperson himself does not carry you along.
Okay.
And it should be the first port of call before you now listen to the principal. So it's the way you carry on that actually sells where you're working. But oftentimes, we're not serious. We don't even know anything. So the principal comes on and you, ab initio, had, ensured that your principal does not make news when he should make news.
All right.
Your principal does not even understand. You should come with your facts on your fingers.
Okay.
So that anytime, anywhere you're stopped or called upon, you're speaking from the point of fact that your principal will not come to say, what were you saying the last time?
Okay. Okay, Mrs. Auntie, I know that you have raised one very vital, point here. That is the point of knowledge. If the spokesperson is knowledgeable, there will be no credibility gap, because a lot of times the knowledge gap is there, and that does not, give credibility to your principal. Now, let me invite Dr. Sule into this conversation again. And I know you still want to add to what she has said.
Yeah,
but how come that most of the time they see the spokesperson as being more reactive instead of being proactive? You have been a spokesperson, so what exactly is the challenge?
This is the problem that we have in this country. Most of the spokesperson you see around are not actually professionals. Professionals in the sense that you must be, the law is there. You cannot practice as a spokesperson of whatever organization. Even unions, except you are a registered member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. And the institute do run courses, refresher courses, updating practitioners' knowledge. But most of those now occupying positions are not members of the institute. Therefore, you see all kinds of the practices and what have you. Now, coming back to the other point, just to simplify the issue, if you are sitting in a newsroom and press releases keep coming from different organizations as an editor, you know those that brings good press release. If you see press release coming from such organization, you are eager and happy to use the story because they have done what? They have established themselves. They have had a reputation of people who provides you with good story. With a story that once it comes, it can easily go on air. And there are some that you know, if their stories come, you will do extra work.
Have to struggle.
You understand? Because they have established that reputation that these are people who are not providing good stories. So that's why, as a spokesperson, you must build your own reputation first.
Yeah.
You must be someone who is reliable, someone who people can trust.
Believability.
Before you sell someone or before you sell any organization, you must be somebody of high reputation, you yourself.
There are some principles that are actually very, very difficult to sell. And I say it because, I mean, I've covered a lot of beats and I've had experiences like that. But you find out that some principles, the moment they open their mouth to speak, you can write like 10 stories. You know, they are, you know, it's so easy for them, you know, to build. But when you have a very difficult principle, how do you manage such a person?
Good. You see, as a professional, you are skilled or you have been provided with all the necessary rudiments for you to work with. First and foremost, honestly, most of such personalities, you don't allow them to be going on air live. You see what is happening recently with some key officials of the government uttering statements that ought not to be on air. If ordinarily they be moderated or they were not allowed to go live on air, such issues could have been managed better. You understand? One key aspect is that try as much as possible not to allow your principal to always go live on air. We had a president who hardly conduct media chat, live media chat. Recently we had a president simply because his media managers are afraid of such issues. And you had other presidents who engage Nigerians periodically.
Directly.
You understand? It is the media managers that determine, look, allowing our principal to go on air live may cost more.
You know, some people, some principal are very heady.
Then you will have a lot of work to do.
That's one.
The energy you are...
Because that's a big challenge,
the
actually.
energy that you ordinarily decimate to portray him, you now use that same energy to rectify certain things he has said.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about. Let's talk about.
Let me just make a little comment on this.
Okay.
Because you see, such difficult principles exist. That's a fact. But what normally happens, she brought out the knowledge thing, Sule brought out the experience thing. I would like to add that for you to be somebody's manager, because a spokesperson is a manager, the person must have had some confidence in your capacity and capability. And that's why we say spokesperson's work is not for the boys. It is for those who have built themselves to a certain level of respect. When you are appointed, sit down with your principal and discuss terms of engagement. Because you must have known who your principal is. He's not falling from the sky. He is here. He has two legs.
Some spokespersons are so afraid to even...
That is because he's not a professional.
They are not professional.
That is because he's not a professional.
In politics,
he's not a professional.
In politics, for instance.
Yes.
In politics, for instance.
Yes.
I could have contributed to your emergence as president, as governor, as minister, as commissioner.
Yes.
And then I say to you, okay, maybe I'm too big for whatever you have to offer. I have this boy who has established himself in media practice and all of that. He can make your image. And then you take him. What I'm driving at is, you may not have known your principal.
But that
does not diminish. That should not diminish your capacity.
The first job of a spokesperson is to go and study your principal if you don't know him.
Okay.
You go and research him or her. We are all talking him. Him or her. You go and research her to know who this person is. How do I manage this person? This is the idiosyncrasy of this person. This person is a short-tempered person. This person is a long-suffering person. This person is always smiling. Sometimes this smile can even be mistaken for something else. This is the character of this person. Therefore, develop a management scheme for that person and then go and meet the person and say, man, thank you for this opportunity. These are my findings. This is what the media is saying about you. This is what people are saying about you. This is how I want to manage you. Can we agree on this? I'll give you one example.
Okay.
I have always insisted that a principal must not hire a spokesperson, a commissioner for information, a minister of information that does not have access to him. That's a disaster waiting to happen. Because he will now become a guest master, just guessing what he thinks is the mindset of the principal. But you see, for those who know your spokesperson is your right-hand man or your right-hand lady, because the person must know how you reason, your mindset, the way you take
body
issues,
language,
your body language, your policy issues, not the one that you have those that they call blockers, that will come and block the person,
layers
you won't have
layers.
access, and then you are now, you know, I think it kills. So when you are, when you are a professional, you must insist on irreducible minimum, because a professional spokesperson is not a hungry person looking for work.
Good.
Look for those that have that capacity.
Good, Dr. Nileku. But I want to ask something. Yeah. Do you actually, because you have said so much, now, do you actually meet with these individuals, organizations, to actually lecture them on how the need for them to pick the right persons? Because most of them, they just speak, oh, this is my friend's son, this is my brother, let me just speak. But they don't actually know the functions and what a spokesperson is all about. Whether they are supposed to make themselves, even themselves, available. Some principles are so difficult that they make it difficult for the man that they have chosen or picked as a spokesperson to have access to them. But from what he has said, so there is need for education and awareness on the part of the principal as well. Do you, the NRPR, do you make such efforts to create, you know, that kind of information?
Actually, that's what brings about this summit.
That's exactly, that's what the summit is about.
We are bringing all practitioners from both private, public,
and civil societies,
and members and non-members. Yeah. Because we realize that there are those who are not members of the institute and yet occupying such position. So we brought them in. They are also going to participate at the summit.
And there's going to be a clinic.
And again,
there's a clinic.
There's a clinic.
Spokesperson's clinic.
I think one important thing is that one must regard this, that spokesperson position is not for political patronage.
Completely.
It's not for political patronage.
It's not part of such things.
If you want to pay back some of your political these thing, financiers, you don't give the position of spokesperson to. It's such a sensitive position that you require only a professional to man.
But there's no law that says, for instance, that patronage cannot give you.
No, there's no law. But you do it at your own risk.
Patronage can give you.
You do
for
it
instance,
at your own risk.
if I consider you competent to be a spokesperson, and then I have opportunity to provide someone, and I say, look, talk to I think Dr. Neliaku will do a good job. Because I recommended you doesn't mean that you wouldn't do the job.
See where you started. You said competence. Competence.
Yeah, because it does sounded like...
It's not based on patronage. It is based on competence.
But both can go together. That's what I mean.
Both one should be ahead.
One should be ahead. But you know that in most cases, when you talk of political patronage, they bring all kinds of people there.
Well,
perhaps is.
Oh yeah,
let's bring in.
But you see, we cannot run away from competence, like you said, and professionalism. You must be. I cannot, for example, make you essay medicals, and you know nothing about medicine. Yeah. And I say you are a doctor too. I cannot bring a PR person and say he's doctor. It's absurd.
No, it's not just absurd, man. It's a recipe for death.
So what we are asking, what we are saying, what we are insisting and requesting is that, yes, you can, from your friends, decide to patronize your friend, but make it a professional. Look, the world is not waiting for us, and I think it's important that professionalism speaks to competence, speaks to appointments. And that's why we have the cliche, round pegs in the round holes, and when it's not really there, you say round holes in square pegs. So yeah, and that's why things are not working. We must start as a country in this century to embrace professionalism. Amongst the professionals, I'm sure there'll be people that would belong or would see your dreams and be able, to give it the measure of visibility that it deserves and the perception for which people should see you, your organization, your government, and whatever you're doing. So I insist that, we must, as a people, ask for professionals to lead us so that they can lead from the point of I know it. You cannot bring Dr. Neliaku, my president here, and he's president of NIPR, and he doesn't know a thing about PRing. He's not knowledgeable about it. So I insist.
Okay, Auntie Moji.
Yes. It's like you as a reporter.
Yes. Let me. I want to stay with you.
Yes.
I want you to tell us more about this summit. You are the chairman, publicity secretary, committee. Now, what is this summit all about?
Well, I think explicitly, since we started this program, we have spoken to each aspect of what we intend to use this summit for. Bringing on professionalism, showing and showcasing PRing in national development, very important. More than anything else, clinics, because I believe that everybody has something to give. And when you have a conglomerate or a congregation of people who would speak to you on professionalism, things that are expected of you, what you should be doing, I think it's important. This is the first time we're doing that within the institute, and it's important. And it will, let me just, if Mr. President would allow me, this is going to bring about a college, an institution, a school, an academic institution that will train you, that will help you. You have the basic knowledge. We all went to school, right? We read mass communication or journalism or whatever. But you need that essential, which other professionals have. You cannot call yourself an accountant if you haven't gone through some of the rudiments of the professional training that this is going to metamorphose into it. And that's why we're giving it so much publicity. It's an all-commerce thing. I mean, the professionals are there, but if you are interested in being a spokesperson or you think you have the skills to be you'll have an academic calendar that will help you. At the end of the day, that's why you graduate from being an associate to members, to a member, from member, you become fellows, and you grow in the system.
Okay.
So you become an authority. Oftentimes, we are not authorities of the profession that we profess to be. So these are some of the expected outcomes. It's the first time we're doing this as an institute, and it's going to be a continuum. So it's like you have, even in the foreign service, if you're made an ambassador today, you have an orientation. So that orientation helps you. No matter what you've done on your desk or what you're expected to do at post, the orientation helps to synergize for you what is expected. And the world is changing. There's dynamism in every profession. You need to be alive to what is happening in your profession. I mean, we all watch other spokesperson. When they speak, you know that this person is speaking from the point of knowledge and authority. So these are the things that we are trying to bring to fore. Like I said much earlier, that a new dawn has come. And it's either you're there or you're not there. And it will come to a point where even your papers will be asked, will be brought to the institute. Can you verify this person? Can you verify the competence of this person? The institute should be able to say, yes, we can. And when we say, no, we can, then you should re-examine yourself. So it's a learning, it's a process, but it's a process that has come to stay.
Okay.
And if you're interested in being part of it, then you must toe the lines. And the lines are natural lines. You cannot be a general nurse. I keep going to my medical
if I may add,
you really must be seen
to the question.
Okay, yes. Dr. Sule.
Yes, we deliberately actually designed what we called PR clinic during the summit. What is PR clinic? What we intend to do there is to bring people who had experience in this job. One, we had someone who has managed one of the American presidents, his information, to come and speak to us, to give us an international perspective.
Okay.
We had also slated one who has managed one of the Nigerian presidents as a spokesperson.
Okay.
In fact, Olusegun Adeni, who has managed President Yar'Adua. Perhaps people would like to know more about the sickness of how the information was managed during Yar'Adua period. And we have someone who has managed, who had experience actually in managing state governors. He has managed several governors in his state. So let us get that experience as well. We have someone from the private sector also coming to speak to us. And so that all these experiences, those that are participating at the summit, at least will get one thing or the other, so that one day in the event they find themselves in such a situation, these are how others navigate their way to come up with what they had achieved. These are all part of the summit that we intend to come up.
Okay, Dr. Iliaku, the situation in the country right now, we're going through a lot of challenges, insecurity, food challenges, and all that stuff. Do you think that the spokesperson are managing the situation well?
Which of them now? Is this spokespersons of government, of private sector?
I'm talking about the government now.
Well,
that's what I talked about, insecurity, food shortages, and all that.
Well, again, it's important to issue this disclaimer.
Okay.
A fantastic spokesperson is not a substitute for policy direction.
Okay.
What the spokesperson does is to manage the situation no matter how difficult it is. Before now, government communication system has been more of confusion. Government communication system has been more of confusion. This person speaks this way. That person comes to counter what the other person said. Another person comes from nowhere and brings another narrative. Sometimes some of the information given not confirmed, not based on fact, and so on. But I think in the last 2 weeks, for those who are observing, in the last 2 weeks, there seems to be a cohesion. Something different is beginning to happen. And I pray that it will continue like that. There is a synergy that is now emerging. It's not everybody, because it looks as if those who were speaking were competing among themselves instead of complementing themselves. You see, the task of managing government, whether at national level or at state level, at federal level, as the case may be, is not a one-man's thing. It's not a one-man's affair. But one man must be in charge. You have somebody who is gifted and talented, for instance, in the area of broadcast communication. You have somebody who is excellent in the area of social media management. You have somebody who is so good in writing. Once he writes a feature, no editor will reject it. You now have somebody who is so good in storytelling. You now have the man who coordinates all this. But if nobody is allowed to take responsibility for coordination, that's why you now find this person speaking that way, that way, that way, and then something very terrible happens. You confuse your audience. And once the audience is confused, you have lost their confidence. And once you have lost their confidence, your trust deficit is enhanced. When your trust deficit is enhanced, your reputation is going down. When your reputation goes down, your capital is vanished. When your capital vanishes, you are in red. When you are in red, you should be kicked out. Wow. Because you have no business being there. Okay. Now, you see, that's the way it is.
What would be,
the progression.
Yes.
What would be your prescription for, and I take government as an example, whether it's state government or federal government, what would be your prescription for the hierarchy of image makers? How should that class be structured for maximum impact, the kind of impact you are talking about? I'm afraid I have to put you on the spot. Well, that's why you are here.
No, it's okay. I brought out this book, Professional Standard Guide. This is a document produced by the Institute that indicates who is qualified to do what. You don't take a bomb boy and tell him to go and become the chairman of his community association. He's not qualified. He doesn't have the experience. Okay? So, the first thing is, I'm sorry to mention it here, but you see, Central Bank of Nigeria, before they appoint their spokesperson, they consult with NIPR to confirm if the person is a member of the institute or not. Okay? That used to be, I don't know if they are still doing it now, but that used to, at least to the best of my knowledge, they were right. Please confirm. And we write back, yes, the person is. We haven't really had the case of saying, no, the person is not. Because every work, I don't want to say job, every work has a level. If you cannot measure up to the level that is meant for that particular assignment, you have no business giving the person the opportunity, because you are exposing the person to danger. So, we have a mechanism in place, and we will simply advise chief executives, whether government or private sector, when you want to employ anybody to take up a particular level of spokesmanship or whatever it is, seek advice. Seek professional advice so that you are guided. Oh no, for this position, this is the person you should be looking for. It's not this person. This is the level. We have it from director of public affairs or public relations or corporate affairs, as some would want to call it. We have deputy director, we have assistant director, we have chief. We have, everyone has qualification clearly indicated and what their duties are and how they can be helped. So this is what the institute has done.
But you haven't managed to tell me what your prescription, let's say I say, Dr. Neliaku, I'm asking you now, I want to consult you. What should be the structure, an ideal structure that works?
Well,
one person, two persons, three. You talked about coordination. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, you know, it depends on the institution. Okay. There is no one particular, what do I call it now? There is no one particular model. Exactly, thank you. It depends on the institution. If you have an organization that with 10 people, why would you go and hire 5 people to handle their communication? It's not necessary. If you have an organization that has about 100 people, then it is expected. And then the kind of work you do. You should have somebody, for instance, that manages community relations. You should have somebody that manages conflict issues. You should have somebody who is very, very vast in stakeholder engagement and management. That's a very important aspect of PR. You should have somebody who is very good in then communicating what you have done. But the leader is the spokesperson, the PR person, the public relations person. That is the man at the head. Okay. He can now have different people that are bringing different components of what is required. What normally happens is that it is done the other way around. You go and get the PR person who has this knowledge and is qualified. You put him under. Then you go and bring characters on top of him. Okay, Dr. Neliaku, thank you so much. Let's because of our time, let's talk more about the summit now. The summit, we gathered that you're going to have an award being instituted into the program. Yeah. What should spokesperson do to qualify or to win? Dr. Sule, let me.
Yes, actually, on the second day of the summit, which is on the 27th, we have what we call Spokesperson's Award. In order to encourage members to enroll into the institute and also to recognize excellence, the institute now search for those who have done well. It's not that everybody is not doing well. Okay. There are some actually whom we are able to pinpoint. So they'll be recognized and they'll be awarded on the second day at a dinner, which we call awards night.
Who have done well.
What's
the criteria for
we have a committee set up to assess. After nominations were received, and then the committee now moved into action to assess the performance. You bring in what you think you've done based on the nomination, and then we assessed, the committee assessed your performance, and then a verdict is given by the committee. In fact, it's not yet even out, but the assessment.
Words, but what are the details? In other words, first of all, the process was thrown open to the public, and 320 something people applied, made entries for various categories of the awards. Then a panel was instituted, chaired by a distinguished professor of communication, who is a member of the institute, who understands what we are talking about. And then other professionals from private sector, public sector, civil society, they came together as a committee. As we talk, the assessment is going on based on the criteria that they brought out. So I don't even know who they. I don't know who is going to emerge. He doesn't know. If he knows, then
we are running out of time. But just before we go, I wanted to find out the details of this event. What days, time, venue, before we let you go. Our time is gone completely.
Right. It's on the 26th to the 27th of March. 20.
That's two days.
Yes, 2 days. It's 2 days. The first time is coming on. We, like you said earlier, we have spokespersons and we have across board those who are going to bring quality in terms of knowledge sharing. He has said to you that we are going to have from the academia, we are going to have professionals themselves who have been there, who would share experiences, and we'll have finally the incentive night, because if you're a winner, that you know, I mean, on your CV to say you're a winner of the spokesperson or you know, the institute, it's that added value. So what we're doing is bringing professionalism to fore, exchanging experiences, bringing the academics, bringing also those who have served at these various levels. So you see that it is not a peculiarity with Nigeria, it is a global thing. PRN is global and it's an essential part of development.
It's a global thing.
And let me also Vice President of Nigeria.
Yes, I was going, yes, accepted to be.
Wow, that's
so we're looking forward.
Thank you so
It's
much.
going to take place at the International Conference Center.
Oh,
okay.
Answer one of your questions.
And am I invited, seeing as I am not a spokesperson?
You are invited.
You are invited to the opening ceremony.
Because you are a potential spokesperson.
All right. I think we have to draw the curtain now because we have another discussion after this.
Okay.
I want to thank you very much.
But before you thank them, I understand we could take 2-3 more minutes, some minutes with them.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, sure. That's
Okay,
nice.
go ahead.
Okay, so like I was
finish your-
excitedly letting the world know, as it were, using the largest television network in Africa, and I'm sure around the world. Well, yes, we want to thank you, and we've gotten the cooperation of most media organizations who willingly, some without cost, some with costs that we know are important, have taken this very, very seriously. And I just want to say that PRN is all about national development. Oftentimes we see, it's their job. It's everybody's job, but there are some professionals that knows how to manage it better. We are in a situation in this country that we need more than the PRN we are getting today. People are careless in terms of even at government levels, are careless about the submission of what we have as a people. PRN is saying to you that you don't have any other country but Nigeria, and we make it the best.
And that's why the theme of the summit
what's the
is
theme?
change the narrative, change the society.
Change the narrative, change the society. Thank you so much.
If we change the way we communicate, certainly our society will change.
Change the narrative,
change the
society.
Patriotism, which we know that has a huge gap, would also be part of it. So come on, we expect that you would watch your comments. We need comments from you. Would come back to Good Morning Nigeria, I hope.
So it's purely a spokesperson's affair, because I'm interested in criteria, or criterion as the case may be. What of NIPR members are they allowed to attend?
NIPR members are allowed to attend the opening ceremony.
If
they now want to attend the main summit proceedings, they pay registration fee.
Of how much?
But what we have done is to reduce.
How much is it?
It's 400 for everybody. Yes. Covering all the things, full participation, lunch, tea, coffee, dinner, conference materials, certification, because we are going to be certified at the end of it. You can go and look for a job with our certificate for after that. And so many other things. But for NIPR members, it is just 350,000.
Okay. I want to ask: Is it going to be an annual event?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It has come to stay.
It has come to stay.
Is it sustainable? Because you will come and go. Is it sustainable? Is it template such that can be sustained?
It's a council decision. It's a council decision.
And endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Information.
And endorsed by the Federal Ministry of Information.
with the Federal Ministry of Information.
Yes, and I think we need to mention here that the Honorable Minister of Information has been so cooperative, phenomenal. At the start of this, actually, it was his office where it all started, and culminating into 20.
That reminds me. I mean, for bringing in the Ministry of Information, is NIPR in any way collaborating with the Ministry of Information or at the state level and at the federal level, to further propagate, the issue of spokesperson, the right caliber, and educate, creating awareness, bringing workshop, clinics, and all that?
Because
how do you collaborate?
Yeah, we are working together.
Okay, fine.
NIPR is supervised by the Ministry of Information, according to our Act. So we are collaborating at various levels. If the minister didn't give us go-ahead, we wouldn't have done this. The minister has been very phenomenal. As a matter of fact, this idea was cooked in his house. But he felt that it is better handled.
All right.
Yeah. These are some of the things that the man is doing that you wouldn't know.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now that we know, we'd like to thank you for bringing this to our notice, and thank you for coming on the program, Dr. Ikene Liako, President of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Also, let us thank our own Mujima Kojuola, Public Relations Officer, planning.
No, chairman
publicity committee.
Don't degrade me. So I won't give you a query.
Of the national
chairman publicity committee
of the national spokesperson.
Yes.
Summit.
And then also the chairman, Dr. Sule Yao Sule.
Yes, thank you. National Planning Committee.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and your thoughts. Let's go on a break now, and when we return, there's a second conversation. All right, you're welcome back, and just to say that 20th March annually is marked as the World Oral Health Day. Now, this underscores the importance of oral health. Demola, we will listen, shortly to how Pepsodent can help Nigerians achieve healthier and brighter smiles as part of its campaign for World Oral Health Day.
You're right, Victor. Well, World Oral Health Day is globally celebrated to raise awareness about oral hygiene, providing tools and knowledge to support people in the prevention and control of oral disease, which affect adult half of the world's populace. This year's theme is tagged Talk to a Dentist, Victor.
Have you spoken to a dentist?
This year, not here, but I do it annually.
Incidentally, I had engagement with mine just last week.
Okay.
All right.
I normally speak to my dentist.
Joining us from Lagos to speak on Pepsodent World Oral Health Day 2024 is Oiza Geng, Nigeria BW and PC Beauty, Wellbeing and Personal Care business lead, who is very much welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us on Good Morning Nigeria.
For having me. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, Oiza, let me kickstart our conversation with you. Today is World Oral Health Day. Tell us briefly, explain why oral health is so important for overall well-being.
Thank you very much. Oral health is important because, like we know, the mouth is the gateway to the body, to the rest of the body, because it's also a means in which we take in food and nutrition into the body. So it actually impacts overall well-being if we don't take care of our oral health. So, for instance, if you have missing tooth or issues with your teeth that would prevent you from chewing your food properly, then you're not able to enjoy that meal and have proper and varied diet, which is actually important for the overall well-being of the body. So that's one of the issues. Number two is that it also affects speech for most people when there is a missing part of their tooth, or pain that is not going to allow them actually be a lot more confident in actually having a meaningful and engaging conversation. And I think thirdly and most importantly is that it also impacts on self-confidence and self-esteem. So particularly with children and even with adults. So when you tell a child, oh, your mouth is smelling, they tend to want to stay away from you and not want to come closer and engage with their peers or everyone around them. So it's actually very important to take care of the mouth, of oral health hygiene, because it does impact the rest of the body, and that's why it is so important to talk about it, especially today on World Oral Health Day.
Very much, Oiza. What would you then say those common oral health issues confronting people, and how does it affect their lives?
So one of the common ones will be tooth decay, cavities, and this one, it affects the lives of people because it causes pain. That's the obvious one, discomfort. And once you have a pain in your tooth, I don't know how many of you have done that before, but I've actually suffered that before as well too. I know it can be very painful. We had an engagement with the dentist on Monday, and I think one of them said, oh, once you have a tooth pain, it is actually worse than labor. Even though in my mind I was like, okay, you are a man, I don't know if you've been through labor before, but I've been through labor before, and I also have had toothache. So while I don't know if I can compare the two of them, but I know it is very, very painful, and it is very discomforting. So once you have tooth decay, tooth pain, you can't function. You really have to get that sorted out. So that's actually one of the most prevalent ones. But we also have gum diseases. We also have halitosis, which is the same as mouth odor, which again I think most of us, even if you are not the one suffering it, you can be subjected to it, because if somebody have mouth odor by your side, I'm sure maybe out of being polite, you don't want to call the person out, but you would also feel some discomfort and want to stay away from that person. So that's really some of the tooth issues, that oral health issues that is prevalent amongst us. But we also have some other very important ones like oral cancer, which also can be as a result of untreated oral health issues that is preventable, but have been left to go on for so long that it now gets into something much bigger. So those are some of the oral health diseases that is prevalent amongst us, particularly, especially in Nigeria as well.
Thank you, Oiza. You have spoken about the prevalent diseases, especially concerning oral health, and the issue of mouth odor and all that. And you also mentioned that the kind of toothpaste that we use is also very vital in being able to control and to check all these oral health diseases. Now, what sets Pepsodent apart in the market, and what are its benefits?
So for one, we have a unique technology which we call the profluoride and calcium complex, and these two things actually helps remineralization of the tooth, so that it prevents tooth decay. So this is actually one of the very key benefits of Pepsodent. And one of the things we say to people is brush twice daily, morning and night, with a fluoride containing toothpaste like Pepsodent. So Pepsodent is actually one of the toothpaste that has been endorsed by the Nigerian Dental Association as a good toothpaste to use in your oral care hygiene, because it does contain the important minerals to actually help you with your oral health, overall good oral well-being. We have a unique products that we say we call it Pepsodent 1, 2, 3, because it does prevent the three major issues that I've called out earlier. So it prevents tooth cavities, it whitens the teeth, and it also prevents mouth odor. But most importantly, I think Unilever as a company, we are the #1 toothpaste brand in Nigeria. We've been in Nigeria since 1975. way before I was born. And so because of that, we do know and understand the oral health needs of Nigerians. We have been very instrumental in actually bringing oral solutions and working with the Federal Ministry of Health, with our partners, Nigerian Dental Association, that we've been partnering with over the years. So to ensure that we keep on staying ahead of the game, we keep on bringing innovative solutions that would prevent today's problems and as well as also future problems as we anticipate based on the dietary trends that we've seen in Nigerians and the impact that it would have on oral health if it's not prevented on time. So that's really what sets us apart. We also have been over the years doing what we call schools program, which we go into schools, and here I talk about primary schools, both public and private, but more of public schools, to actually educate children on the importance of brushing regularly, day and night, brushing well, because sometimes you can brush but then you don't brush well. And I think if you have kids, you know that my kids will come out, mommy, I finished brushing in like 2 seconds, and I'm like, well, no, go back and go and brush, because you have to brush long enough to reach all the crevices and actually ensure that you clean your mouth properly. So we do that program every year. Our aim in 2020 was to reach 10 million children by 2025. So far, we have reached 7 million. This year, we plan to reach another 2 million children in these primary schools. And if you ask me why primary schools or why children that age, we target 6 to 12, it's because we know that habits have formed from a tender age. So we don't want them to grow up and start telling them change your habits. It will be very difficult to do at that particular point. But if you reach them from when they are quite young and imbibe the right oral health hygiene, they would get that and it would live with them for the rest of their life, and we would be able to combat the issues prevalent with oral health diseases in Nigeria. So the program, like I said, it's aimed at primary school. We teach them how to brush. We teach them the duration to brush and the type of toothbrush and toothpaste. We also make this accessible to them in this campaign, and we give them a calendar to every day go back home and tick, and we monitor for 21 days. Because again, studies have shown us that whatever you do continuously for 21 days becomes a habit. So and after 21 days, we go back to the school to actually reward them, because we also know that children live with, they enjoy those kind of things when you reward and recognize them for the job that they have done well. And ultimately, it's for them to take this message back into their homes and also help now change the habits of the adults around them, because we know that children also have what we call pester power, and if they tell you, oh, but you have not brushed your teeth, mommy this night, then the mother is actually going to also end up going to do the same thing. So that's what sets us apart. We just don't sell toothpaste, but we also want to be part of the solution, and we've been part of the solution for a long time by preaching preventative care for your oral health diseases. And apart from that, we also encourage people to visit their dentist regularly. I'm happy you actually said that you were just at a dentist a couple of days ago. We actually recommend twice, minimum twice a year to visit your dentist. Don't wait until you have a problem, but just go there and do a regular checkup. But like we said, our theme for this year is talk to a dentist, and what we also try to do is to make sure that we make dental care accessible to underserved communities, so that you don't have to be rich to be able to see a dentist, but we provide dental camps in communities, in longos around the country, where they wouldn't necessarily not be able to see a dentist, but you actually have the free dental camps that we are doing in partnership with the Nigerian Dental Association to actually come to us and see a dentist for free, and also get the oral health solutions that you require for free as well too. So those are all the activities that Pepsodent is doing to actually set itself apart from others in the country, and also be a thought leader in the oral health segment. Thank you.
Oeza, there's one particular question that I just want to ask, a follow-up to. You're going to schools, especially primary schools, to educate the pupils on oral hygiene. Now, I've seen on social media and also read that some of this paste can be a little bit dangerous if a child should swallow, because most of the time I was a child and I think I've swallowed a lot of paste. I don't know about you, Victor, because it is because of the taste is sweet and all that. But some people have questioned the fact that these pastes are actually very dangerous. How safe is Pepsodent paste, you know, if swallowed by the kids, by the pupils?
Thank you. I do recognize the points you've made, because I was in boarding school at some point, and when we are hungry, we just now get our toothpaste and just think that that would actually help us combat the hunger that we are facing at that particular moment. But that was several years ago. But Pepsodent is very safe. We have it is, like I said, endorsed by the Nigerian Dental Association. It is also approved by NAFDAC and the other regulatory bodies in Nigeria. So we have the content of fluoride that we have is safe for human consumption. Of course, we don't say swallow willfully, but if swallowed, it is in a safe limit, so no worries in that in that regard. What we also say is that for children younger than 6, it should be supervised brushing. So ensure that you supervise your kids to actually brush, and also teach them to spit out when they finish brushing, and minimize swallowing. So we say minimize, we don't encourage, but it is also safe. It is not dangerous to your health, because it's in the right levels and amount that is recommended and approved by NAFDAC.
I guess I'm learning firsthand why my kids are in love with Pepsodent. But let me ask this: besides brushing twice daily, what other oral care practices would you recommend to our viewers, for instance, for Nigerians, that they take so as to have very good oral hygiene?
So I will still say again, brush day and night, morning and and at night after your meal. Not brush and then go back to eat and then come back again and say that after all you've brushed, but after meal that should be the last thing you do. So that is very important. But also brushing well. So brushing for long, minimum 2 minutes is the recommendation. And in our schools program, we actually teach a jingle. We teach kids to say, sing in your head while you are brushing, and repeat it 2 times, because it is after you finish it that you know that your brushing is complete, and ensure that you brush all the surfaces, your tongue and everything is important. We also recommend minimizing, if not stopping completely, carbonated soft drinks and sugary things that actually have impact on the mouth, so to minimize it. But if you really cannot stop it, then it's recommended to just rinse your mouth after you've had some meals, or particularly when it has to do with those carbonated and sugary drinks. Flossing is also very important after meal, not a toothpick, a dental floss, to also use that, and using the right toothbrush. We don't recommend a hard bristle toothbrush. A soft and medium bristle toothbrush is what is recommended, because hard toothbrushes can also damage your gum and enamels, which is also a bigger issue on its own. And most importantly, it's also to visit your dentist. Don't wait until you have a pain or a hole in your tooth, but just go for preventive care and measure every 6 months. So those are some of the good dental practices that we preach to children, that we talk to, and to adults around us as well too.
All right, thank you very much, Oeza Gian, for coming to educate us more about oral hygiene. That's all we can take from you. Thank you so much for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Having me.
Well, that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. Thanks for joining us. Join us again tomorrow. I am Ademola Adeoye.
And I am Victor Azo. We thank you for staying with us. Do have a pleasant day ahead.